a murderer, marked by God Himself. Everyone knows the story, but the Bible never says what the mark actually was. Not its shape, not its color, nothing. The one thing the text does tell us is the exact opposite of what you've been taught. And what people later did with this silence became one of the most dangerous lies in history. This is what really happened to the Mark of Cain. The story itself is short, almost brutally short. Two brothers, Cain and Abel, the first children ever born. Cain brings an offering to God, so does Abel. For reasons the text barely explains, Abel's is accepted and Cain's is not. And in that space, between acceptance and rejection, the first murder in human history takes place. Brother kills brother. What comes next is where it gets strange. God confronts Cain, curses him to wander the earth, and then does something almost no one expects. He protects him. Tonight, we're going to look at what that protection actually was, and how the most famous mark in the Bible became the most misunderstood. Genesis chapter 4. After the murder, God tells Cain he'll be a restless wanderer for the rest of his life. And Cain is terrified. He says it plainly, "Whoever finds me will kill me." So watch what God does. Verse 15. The Lord put a mark on Cain, so that no one who found him would kill him. Read that again, slowly. The mark isn't a punishment. It isn't a brand of shame. Its entire purpose, stated right there in the text, is to protect Cain's life, to keep him from being killed. The most famous symbol of a curse in human history was originally a symbol of protection. So what was it? Here's the part that surprises people. The Bible never says. The Hebrew word is ot. It simply means a sign, a mark, a symbol, a token. It's the same word used for the rainbow after the flood. The same kind of word used for the signs God sent in Egypt. An ot doesn't have to be something on the skin at all. It could be an object, a gesture, a guarantee. The text leaves it completely open. One verse, no description, just a sign. So if the text says protection and never says what the mark was, how did it become the ultimate symbol of a curse? The answer is that people couldn't leave the silence alone. For centuries, rabbis and scholars tried to fill in the blank. And the theories are remarkable. Some said it was a letter of the divine name, written on his forehead. Some said a horn grew from his head. Some said it was a dog that walked beside him, sent to guard him. Others said leprosy. Others said he was made to tremble uncontrollably. None of these are in the text. Every single one is a guess. And the rabbis mostly knew that. They offered them as debate, not as fact. But there's a second mystery hiding in the same passage. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. After the murder, Cain is sent away to a land called Nod. And there, the text says, Cain knew his wife. And later, he builds a city, a wife. A city, other people to be afraid of. But if Adam, Eve, and Cain were the only humans, who were all these other people? The traditional answer is that Adam and Eve had many other children. Genesis later says they had sons and daughters, unnamed. Others read the early chapters less literally. It's an old and genuine debate, And the name of that land, Nod, tells its own quiet story. In Hebrew, Nod doesn't really name a place. It means wandering, exile. Cain wasn't just sent somewhere. He was sent into the condition of being lost. But the most dangerous thing ever built on top of this silence was still to come. And it didn't stay in ancient texts. It reached into the modern world and did real harm. By now you know the pattern. When the text stays silent, people fill the silence with whatever they already want to believe. And centuries later, some people wanted to believe something monstrous. Beginning in the era of transatlantic slavery and stretching into the 20th century, certain groups made a claim with no basis in the text whatsoever, that the Mark of Cain was dark skin, that God had marked Cain and his descendants with blackness. And they used this lie to justify slavery, segregation, the idea that an entire people was cursed by God. Let me be as clear as I possibly can. There is nothing in the text that says this. Genesis never mentions skin color, not once. Not for Cain, not for the mark, not anywhere in the passage. This wasn't an interpretation. It was an invention, a lie built to serve power, dressed up in the language of Scripture to make cruelty sound holy. It often got tangled up with another passage, the so-called Curse of Ham, a completely different story about one of Noah's sons, which was distorted the same way for the same purpose. Two silences in the text, both filled with the same poison, both used to justify the suffering of millions of real human beings for centuries. And here is the bitter irony at the center of it all. The original mark, the one actually in the text, was given to protect a life, to stop violence, to keep a man from being killed. And it was twisted into a tool used to destroy lives on a scale almost too large to imagine. The same few words, the exact opposite meaning. That is what can happen when people fill a silence with what they already wanted to be true. So let's step back and look at the whole picture. The Book of Enoch, a real text quoted in the New Testament left out of most Bibles. Judas, a real man whose story is told two different ways in the same book. Lilith, a legend built almost entirely outside the book on a single uncertain word. And Cain, where the words were right there, and people twisted them into their opposite. Four mysteries, one thread running through all of them. It was never really about what the text says. It's about what people need it to say. Sometimes they fill the silence with a lost book, sometimes with a legend, and sometimes, as with Cain, with something that costs real human beings everything. The Bible's silences are not empty. History has always rushed to fill them. The only question that ever really matters is, with what? If this series has shown you anything, it's that the most important part of the story is often the part nobody wrote down. Subscribe Sati, because next we're leaving the pages behind entirely. 5 people who died and came back, and what they claim they saw on the other side.